Start it however we want to start it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, could you believe it now? We have one of our friends here. He knows nothing about the extraterrestrial model. Nothing, right? Aaron,
Well, I know, do you
I
know?
don't
how much do you know about the extraterrestrial model?
I know nothing. You texted me and then I closed the text.
This is good.
How,
Okay.
could you?
Would you, could you believe it now? A podcast about strange journeys, hidden truths, and wild beliefs. With Sammy
And Rob. What about Mike Masters?
Michael Masters.
Michael Masters?
Doctor, it's an anthropologist, Dr.
Perfect.
Michael P. Masters.
Perfect.
Did
Okay.
did he have a show that was on like Netflix?
I mean, he might,
Maybe
he's
not.
shown up in some documentaries. If you watch
Okay.
alien documentaries,
Yeah,
you
but-
might have seen him
I
before.
don't think he's in any Netflix stuff.
My nephew visited me. When I say nephew, this is a grown man. It's not like a 4-year-old, but a 25-year-old visited me a few weeks ago, and we were watching one of the alien shows on Netflix. And the guy was an anthropologist known for his edgy takes. You British?
No.
No.
Okay.
I think he's from Ohio.
Uh,
And he
Yeah.
teaches in Montana. So
I think
Where's
you'll like
Ohio?
his vibe.
Yeah.
He's distinct.
okay.
he's a really cool guy. So he does have some videos. Like whenever he's on, I always tell Sammy he sounds like that like really cool like kid in high school who's like not cool, but just suddenly
Just
like is
stoner.
cool because he's like stoned.
Sounds like a star.
But he
Okay.
doesn't- yeah, he'll show you a video of him, but he's like, yeah, aliens are
But
real.
he's an anthropologist. He's also a professor, I believe, in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of got really well known lately because he released a paper and he has a book about the extratemporal model. And he released a paper with some researchers at Harvard that kind of took off, talking about a theory about aliens, specifically the Greys, and that they might be future humans that are time traveling back. And he has a lot of different reasons for that. So we'll get into all of that.
Okay.
So that's just like the rough overview. So I guess, where do you stand presently with your belief with aliens or them being future humans that are time traveling?
I mean, in terms of like intelligent life out there, I think the universe is just too massive for there not to be something. Um, Now, is this, you said the Greys? I'm assuming that's like the stereotypical, like the
Yeah.
large head, gray. Those being future humans. I guess I don't. If I had to have an opinion on it, I wouldn't think that they were, because I feel like the evolution of humans into that is wild. Like
Hmm.
how we get to that is crazy. But I'm open to listening.
We picked the right person for this
Yeah, this is
episode.
good. Well, I'll say, so I've already done the research, but before I did this, I felt really similar. I was like, I don't think so. Like, to me, it felt more plausible that they were extraterrestrial. They were coming from another planet and they're just more advanced than us,
Right.
if anything. But then after doing some of the research, I feel really differently.
Okay.
There's two reasons why. I'll get to it,
Because like
but
I didn't think so either. Because I'm like, oh, if these things like there's 3 foot ones at the foot of people's bed, like how did we go from like 5, 6 foot beings to like 3 feet all of a sudden? You know what I mean? I was like, it's kind of
well,
weird.
that's what Michael Masters is going to tell us.
He is.
But
He is.
yeah, but there's a specific there's the do you know the grandfather paradox? Have you heard of that with time travel?
I feel like I've heard of it. I've seen Interstellar, if that
We
helps.
we nerded out a lot, so like don't feel bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The thing that so that paradox was my main reason for not believing it, but I was introduced to another theory that changed my mind on that. So now I'm like, oh, fuck, like, yeah. But the gist of the grandfather paradox is that if you were to travel back in time and kill your own grandfather before like your parent was born, then you wouldn't have been alive to travel back in time to kill your grandfather. right? But so the idea is that if you killed your grandfather before
Yeah.
your parent was born, then you shouldn't exist to have killed your grandfather. So that's the paradox, that's the loop. So that's why I'm like, oh yeah, okay, so that makes sense. Time travel like shouldn't be possible if you change something or if that happened, like how do you, how do you answer that?
And
But
that's like the butterfly effect, right? That whole,
yeah, basically of how something in the past ripples out and affects. I mean, the butterfly effect is a little bit like a small action could have a really big effect later on in the future. But yeah, similar idea that one small change could have a massive effect on the future.
okay. And that's Rob's favorite Jim Carrey movie, right?
The butterfly effect.
So this is from Michael Masters' book. I'm trying to get to the top of this. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, the extratemporal model. It has chapter 1 in here. So let me show you. Did you ever figure out the
The video.
yeah.
I didn't get the video.
Okay. We're gonna let you watch a little bit of this so you can hear from him.
In the subject of UAPs, why have you gone down this rabbit hole, this lunatic subject, which I'm sure does your academic career no good at all?
Yeah, that's a great question, and Ross, it's so great to talk to you. I've followed your work as well for a very long time, and appreciate you having me on. Apologize for the poorly timed drink there. I should have maybe taken that earlier. Yeah, no, that's a great place to start. It's been sort of a long and winding road, so to speak. I first got interested in this at a very young age after hearing a UFO account that came from my father, of all places. So I was sort of forced to start thinking about these things in real terms. It wasn't just what you see on TV and movies and science fiction.
I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but that way you get an idea of who he is, what he sounds like,
Okay.
what he looks like. This is the first chapter of his book, which is talking about the extratemporal model. So, like we said, he's an anthropologist, and he got into this topic for UFO stuff because when he was a kid, his father had a sighting, and he believes his dad. He knows his dad to be credible, and his dad had someone else that saw it with him, so he believed it. Getting into anthropology, though, he is based his theory after reading different anecdotes of like abduction cases. So he had read Communion. I don't know if you or do you know that book by Whitley Strieber? Okay, so Whitley
No, no,
Strieber
no, no.
was a horror film writer, or sorry, horror novel writer, and a lot of his books have been turned into films. But he wrote this book initially as if it was fiction, but then later admitted that it was actually a true story. And then after that, he started writing true stories. But it was about abduction experiences that he had. And this is where the joke like, turned into a joke, but the probing by aliens.
It was on South Park. South Park made
Oh
Yeah.
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where that comes from. Like that part of the lore comes from Whitley Strieber's book Communion. So he saw the picture, and so by the time that like when he was studying anthropology, and he was tracking like okay how humans are being affected by evolution, and based on current trends, the way we've been trending from what we used to look like and where models predict humans going, he believes we would look like that we would look like grays essentially. So, and something that they've been tracking is that over time, chins have been getting narrower, smaller and narrower. Noses have been getting narrower. Eyes and heads have been getting bigger, and pupils have been getting bigger too. So when he was looking at that picture of the gray on, I don't know if there's a picture of it here. We'll find one. Actually, wait, it's an article. There we go. What were
Oh
they
gosh.
in 100,000 years? Yeah. So he's saying that if the Greys are future humans, they're very far into the future. Very, very far
Like
into the
very
future.
far.
Yeah, but so this is mostly just
Do we
the
have
eyes are bigger.
do we have
but-
any picture like any like illustrations of like what he's depicted? Like what he believes? Do we have any like
What's this?
but I feel like we saw a documentary and they had like
I
kind of like a
mean,
progression pick.
let's see if I can find it in his book.
Why would
What
you?
he's talking about is based on trends. Yeah, because a lot of the grays in abduction encounters, they don't speak, they're telepathic.
They never
So,
actually talk with their mouth ever.
yeah, I don't think they do. I think there's some reports where they like make weird sounds, but yeah, they don't talk. So, and people will experience telepathic communication during their abductions, and they're like, "What's happening? Why is your voice in my head?" Which have you heard the telepathy tapes?
I have not, no.
Are you aware? Are you familiar with it though? Have you heard about it? Oh,
I no, I'm
we're about to just blow your world up.
Oh. He's like, I gotta go.
We're gonna
I gotta
work
get
on
there.
this day.
Pretty much.
Okay, hang on. I want to stop the share just so I'm going to keep looking, but that way it's recording.
Pretty much telepathy tapes are something that dropped on, what was it, Spotify and like a bunch of other places.
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
someone uploaded it to Spotify.
No. So, this was a journalist from California. She started working with Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell. She just goes by Dr. Diane Hennessy now. She's a savant researcher. So she's been studying savants for like 30, 40 something years.
Yeah,
and she's
3-4
worked with like
decades.
the top savant researchers and working with a lot of non-verbal, non-speaking autistic kids. And so Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell discovered several years ago that a lot of these savants seem to have psychic ability and telepathic ability. And then from studying it more, she found that there were other non-speaking autistic kids that could also do telepathy or communicate via telepathy. And so they started finding this out, and she was trying to write about it. And she wrote a book called The ESP Enigma, and she got her medical license revoked. And the people who revoked it hadn't even read the book. They just saw the cover and they're freaked out. They're like, no way, you can't be a doctor, you can't practice. So she had to take a bunch of tests to prove she was sane to get it reinstated. And she finally did. And then she's like, will you guys read my book? And then they did. And they're like, oh, this is actually interesting data. So
Now she's not at a university anymore, but she's still.
she left academia because of that, because she was like, okay, that sucked. But she presents a lot of information on this. So she started working with this journalist who thought like her initially was just interested in writing about savants. And then when she heard about the non-speaking autistic kids, she was like, wait a minute, they're telepathic. That's wild. And Dr. Diane is like, we can prove it. We can give you a demonstration. And so she's like, okay. So she's like, I'm going to bring a camera crew out though. And so she brings a camera crew out and she like tests everything, has it demonstrated to her, and it works. And so she freaks out. She's like, no, this can't be right. So she's like, all right, let's test it again. And this time the journalist went and found her own subject because she like didn't trust Dr. Diane Hennessy. So she goes and finds her own subject, and she like arranges the whole thing and does the demonstration again, and it works again. And so she's like, I'm just going to start following this. And so she just started finding as many non-speakers as she could and was videotaping all of it and trying to like make the test harder and trying to find, she kept bringing on other people to try to figure out like, how could they be, if there's a way to cheat this test, like how could they do it? And just made it as foolproof as possible and documented the whole thing, recorded the whole thing. And she was trying to get funding for a documentary, which now she has, but she turned it into a podcast first. And now it took off. It beat Joe Rogan
It did.
as the number one
Oh,
podcast.
It did beat Joe Rogan.
You should hear it. It's pretty intense.
It is. And when you say
cool, though.
telepathy, you're meaning that these kids are talking to each other in
In their
minds.
heads. Yeah. They started reading their teachers' and parents' minds.
Can't make that.
Interesting. Yeah.
It is. So you gotta there's 2 seasons out on Spotify, so you can listen to it. It's
But-
really good. And there will be a documentary.
This could be early evidence to what Mike Masters is saying, that if the brain is getting bigger and the mouth is getting smaller, the gray aliens are just fully telepathic. They don't speak at all. Maybe that's where we're headed. And what I was trying to say earlier, I just blurted something out like humans don't talk anymore. But
I liked that though.
yeah, but
So, can I ask questions during this as well?
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
So, what about eating?
Hmm.
How do they eat?
That's not
Yeah,
a ton of
like,
information that they have. It's a good question.
It is a good
So, because
question.
a
because,
lot of this is coming from abduction encounters. Well, there's the like as an anthropologist, he knows how to track human evolution and where he thinks it's going. But in terms of how he's relating it back to the Greys, he's using abduction cases to understand, like, okay, if this could be that, he wanted to get as much data as he could on how they're presenting to see, does this really line up? So in most of these abduction cases, the abductees are not seeing them eat. So they don't know.
okay.
They don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I was wondering, yeah, like, because if they're chewing food or,
Right.
yeah, I was just curious about that stuff.
That, yeah, they don't know. There's a lot of people that have theories, but there's not like, what are they gonna do? They don't know.
And I mean, we would think that, I
Oh,
mean,
check
we
it.
have it drilled in our head
Okay.
that if it's a living being, it needs water or something, right? So we don't know if they drink also or like go to the bathroom.
Probably. Okay,
It's
just
possible.
I'm gonna go over the bullet points here for Aaron. Just calm down. Okay.
It's
So
getting heated.
Ooh,
Keep your questions.
pulled up
did we?
ChatGPT to help me. It just does the breakdown. So Michael P. Masters is a biological anthropologist and professor who developed the extratemporal model of UFOs and alien encounters. His theory is outlined in books like Identifying Flying Objects, a multidisciplinary scientific approach to the UFO phenomenon, and the extratemporal model, which came out in 2022. It proposes that aliens are actually humans from the future, not extraterrestrial, but extrapolated in time. This is a breakdown of his theory. So aliens equal future humans. Masters suggests that beings associated with UFOs are time-traveling descendants of modern humans, whom he calls extraterrestrials. These beings return to our time for anthropological research to study their own evolution and their own history, genetic diversity and intervention. There's a big theory that they have lost their ability to reproduce. And I don't know if you've heard of like that same lore of like breeding programs that the Greys are coming back and abducting people and using like taking genetics and stuff for breeding. He's saying maybe they are. If they've lost their ability to reproduce, I suppose they would have to come back and find humans that still had the ability. And then historical documentation, gathering data on pivotal moments in human development. So something that I've heard him talk a lot about is he's like, okay, think about it. If we tomorrow developed this ability to travel back in time, he's saying I, as an anthropologist, would absolutely go back to ancient humans, go to the very first ones and like look at them and study
Study
them
it.
actually there and figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And he's like, would I want to take one, tranquilize one, pop it in my craft and study it in a lab? Absolutely. I would absolutely do this. So he's like, I'm just trying to think like, would future humans still want that? Probably. We're not better than that. We wouldn't just not. If we had the
We would
ability, we wouldn't not.
100% like do the 23andMe on that thing. We do anything.
Yeah, the way we are
Blood
now with our
tests.
genetics, like, yeah, go ahead, take my
Yeah,
DNA.
do
You know?
it, do it. You know, look at the teeth.
We're
all that
already
kind
so
of stuff.
curious. Would we be like, would we honestly be able to resist not going back in time and doing that?
I don't think so.
I think the scary thing is talking about the grandfather
Yeah.
of it all. Because yeah, coming back risks a lot just
Yeah.
for, and if they're getting caught too, I mean that, yeah, there's a
Okay.
lot. It's high risk. I don't know what the reward would be.
So that is based on the idea that consciousness is created by our bodies, which has been assumed in science. A lot of neurobiologists, neuroscientists think, okay, yeah, it's probably in our synapses, our neurons. We don't know how, but we can tell that at least perception, a lot of our experiences and our memories, all that's happening in our neurons. And now we know that those neurons are not just in the brain, they're happening everywhere. But this is the other theory, though, that ties into the grandfather paradox.
Where does this theory come from?
Um, it comes from a lot of places, a lot of ancient indigenous practices and beliefs,
Okay.
and some ancient esoteric ideas.
Keep
But
going.
then
Keep going.
for me, what made me actually believe it was Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell because of her research with savants. So these savants have really, really, really high IQs, but a lot of them are missing brain parts. Like they don't have whole chunks of their brain are gone. It's called hydrocephalus, where a region of their brain's gone and they just have fluid, and yet they have really, really high IQs. And then in part of her research, she also found several other cases where, it was pretty recently, I want to say it was in early 2000s, a man in France. His identity's been kept anonymous because they didn't want him to get like attacked, but
Almost no brain.
no brain at all.
No brain at all?
He had living a completely normal life, average IQ, went in to the doctors for an unrelated thing, and they're like, "Hey, let's just do a brain scan, just to be safe." And they scan his brain, and they're like, "You don't have a brain. What's going on?" Like the only thing he had was like a brain stem, and so she started pouring through, found tons of other cases where people have virtually no brain and varying levels of ability and disability, but there's several cases of them having normal lives. They wouldn't have known that they didn't have a brain. So what they're finding is that what happens is if a piece of the brain is missing or there's no brain at all, the brain is still, or the body's still creating those neurons and the synapses, those connections, but they just route them to other parts of the body. So other parts of the body can grow these neurons and store memory. So you don't need a brain to do that. And so
Isn't that wild?
right, okay. So what she's saying is this puts a really big dent in the idea that our brains are creating consciousness, or that even these synapses, because they can disconnect and move. So what's happening there? The idea that they're creating consciousness, we don't have any evidence for that. We just assumed. So what I was looking at, this is kind of like my own take on this too, but the idea that, which again, this is a really common belief, but in like esoteric studies, consciousness is more of a field, and I guess the brain or the synapses route consciousness in, but it's not originating in the body. So it's more like neurons that connect like pipes, bringing it in, and it can route through the body, but maybe the body isn't creating it. So now go to the grandfather paradox. If the body's creating consciousness, then you are your body. And if you were to go back in time and kill your grandfather and your parent was never born, you never get to exist. There's no you to go back in time. That's a big problem. Doesn't work. If you are not your body and consciousness exists outside of a body, but just routes through your body, if you were to go back in time and kill your grandfather, you still exist, but your body is now different. You just have a different body. Because you can still enter a body, it just, okay, now you got a different grandfather on one side or a different parent on one side. So your genetics may be different, but your consciousness still exists.
So is this like the concept of like a soul? Like a soul comes from the
Essentially, yeah.
ether, and okay.
Basically, it's using that idea. So if it's a case like that, though, and also kind of based off of like simulation theory, that if reality is a simulation, then you probably could go back and edit stuff.
But I don't know. But then this is where I go, okay, what about all those people that have out of body experiences? And that's where I think, yeah, you might be onto something there, where you say that like the human body, with consciousness, that the body's a channel. Because how can these people that die? I don't know if you've like done like there's
watched videos of people dying.
No,
near-death experiences.
What's it called on Netflix?
Surviving Death.
Have you seen that one?
That's really good.
No,
this woman's like kayaking and she goes like off some cliff or something, and then all of a sudden she like hits her head and she's like dead technically.
No, she gets trapped under the water.
She gets trapped under the water. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. And probably like 30 minutes she's dead, 40 minutes, something like that. But during that whole time,
she's stuck underwater for 15 minutes before her her group.
Can't have this guy retelling stories.
I
I
know.
can't.
Okay.
I can't.
So she gets trapped under the water. Her kayak flips over, gets stuck under a rock, and she can't flip back over. And so she's pinned under the water for 15 minutes. She dies.
She
They
dies.
pull her group that she's with, they pull her out 15 minutes later, and they're like, okay, yeah, she's dead. And so they still called an ambulance and everything, had them come get her. And on the way to the hospital, about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes after they pull her out, she comes back. And she has this crazy experience where she went and she saw like family members that greeted her, and she met someone that was like, I'm your guide, and I got to tell you something. Your son's gonna die at the age of like 20 or 21 or something. Like it's a very specific age. And then the guide was like, okay, you got to go back though. You can't stay. Like you have to go back into your body.
She also saw the people who were rescuing her. She heard what they were saying, like all this stuff. She kind of had like a 360 view of like the whole.
And well, when she returned back to her body, yeah, she saw like the doctors and like all the people working on her, and she could hear their conversations and everything. So, but then, and this person also was a ER doctor, medical doctor herself. So she was really weirded out by her whole experience, obviously, because she died and came back to life. That'll probably fuck you up a little bit. But then her son died 2 years later, as she was told he would. So she was like kind of only half believing her experience. And then when she then was able to correctly predict that down to like the time and the date and everything, she was like, oh, okay, something happened here. And she started going on a journey to understand all this.
So like stories like that make me think that
There's many like that.
that what you're saying about the consciousness being
Outside the body.
outside the body.
Well, like routing through, but
Right.
not created by the body.
Right.
But that was just to say that once I saw that information about consciousness, I was like, okay, well, hang on. If that's true, then that's a way to get around the grandfather paradox. So where I was like, nah, the grandfather paradox totally kills this theory. There's no way. That's not possible. Like this completely ruins it. I was like, okay, shit though. Like, if I include this theory into this, now this is possible for me again to believe in.
Right.
So, okay.
Do we lose you? How you doing?
Hey, I'm here to listen.
Okay.
So I'm listening, I'm absorbing.
Do you have any more questions? You don't have to have questions, but if you have any more. No?
No, and for now I'm here for the ride. So I'm
Okay.
strapped in, I'm listening.
All right, we're going to go to the anthropological foundations. As an anthropologist, Masters compares the appearance of so-called gray aliens, large heads, small faces, big eyes, and small bodies, with projected trends in human evolution. He argues that cranial size and brain-to-body ratios are increasing in humans, and so are technological reliance and physical changes, traits that align with typical alien descriptions. And then there's technological assumptions. Now, this is when this stuff gets really interesting about time travel and modern physics. He thinks it may be theoretically possible under certain conditions that some of the descriptions of UFO sightings and landings sound like they could be related to possible time travel scenarios. So that's basically the idea that in order, based on like models for time travel to work, if we were going to travel through time, we would have to bend space-time. If we bent space-time, because if you heard that idea where it's like, okay, if you have a flat piece of paper, you're over here on the paper, you want to get to here, you have to just travel. But unless you can fold the paper in half, now you can just go through the paper, point to point. So it's
we've seen,
Oh yeah.
faster. Okay,
We've seen Interstellar.
Oh no,
Right.
I've seen Donnie Darko.
that's a good one. I like that movie. Okay, so that
Jim
idea
Carrey too.
that
Jim Carrey in that one.
the bending of space-time based off of it's like mathematical equations that could support it. Some of the effects that if someone was using a machine, a time travel machine that bends space-time, you would expect to see certain effects as a result of it. And when you look at abduction cases and certain landings of UFOs, those things are present. So one example, let me see if I can pull this up. Have you heard of
This be
Travis?
like a wormhole?
Kind of. So what they think is happening is that basically the crafts are able to distort time in a bubble around them. So that the craft essentially has the ability to warp time in just a bubble inside the craft. So it's like they can have a bubble that they're traveling in where time inside the bubble is one time and time outside the bubble is another time. And so have you heard of Travis Walton before?
I have not, no.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen real
Perfect.
quick.
Perfect. We actually saw him in person once.
Like at like a speaking engagement or just
Yeah, we
Yeah,
around
went to
yeah.
town?
Contact
Okay.
in the Desert in Palm Springs.
Once.
So Travis Walton was a logger in the Northwest, I believe.
Yeah.
Pacific
No,
Northwest.
Arizona.
Oh, is it Arizona? But yeah, so he was a logger, and in the 70s, he was abducted, or claims to be abducted by aliens.
All right, can you see this, Aaron?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, that great mustache.
This is solid.
Dang, yeah.
I
Really
know.
good.
You gotta trust that
Yeah,
face.
yeah, no, he looks good.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
so, quite,
So he was in the woods working one night with a group of people, his friends and like coworkers. They were working a job. They're trying to finish up, and they all saw a UFO and it landed in the woods, and they're all freaking out. But Travis just started walking towards it and
Hell yeah.
disappears, and his friends are like, "What the hell are you doing?" And then the craft, I don't know if they all lost memory, but they don't really know what happened. They just know that they saw the craft, they saw him walking towards the craft, and the next thing they know, craft's gone, Travis is gone, and they don't know where he is. And in the area where they say it landed, there was some weird things that researchers went back and found to be the case. So the grass in the area where they say it landed was like way longer than the grass around it, and like all the trees in that area. So the trees, the grass, all of the vegetation, everything that was there was aged, like weird stuff like that. And so that's something that, okay, if there was a time travel machine that was able to bend time and warp time, it could have that effect on its immediate surroundings, that it would affect the time. Getting back to why Masters thinks it's not extraterrestrials, he's talking about the difficulty of traveling really, really far. That it is an issue for, I mean, how to do that. You would have to bend space time again if you were going to be able to travel. But if you had to travel from point A to point B, it would take too long, unless they lived for very long, like the hundreds of
it would
thousands
have
of
to be
years.
like significant amount of resources. You'd have to like refill, I would assume, on whatever you're using for materials to get you there.
The extratemporal model eliminates that problem. And because we do have mathematics that suggests a theory for time travel, and Einstein, he had a equation for that too.
Right.
He's saying we already know that that is possible. It's plausible. Like we don't think we currently have that, but there is also a lot of secret research that happens that we don't get to know about. So we don't really know. There's a bunch of missing money that went to black budget projects. So maybe there is.
Allegedly.
We don't know.
What?
Well, that's what the New York Times article was about. Did you see that? In
I did not.
2017, the New York Times put out an article about the discovery of super secret black projects in the Pentagon, where a lot of the missing, now there's like $1 trillion missing from Pentagon budgets. They found that a lot of it was being routed to, what is it? What are the companies called?
The defense companies?
Yeah, to DoD for black projects, and that there were secret crash retrieval programs. And that's where a lot of
Oh, that's interesting.
It's actually George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell have a whistleblower who talks a lot more about that. and it just dropped maybe what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
I don't know. I don't think I mean, did you see any of the Congress hearings about UFOs?
David Grush.
Oh
No.
man.
Oh,
Oh
we're gonna
man.
put you through UFO 101
Yeah, we're gonna
class.
have to. It's fascinating. Well, so after that, yeah, Congress was like, wait a minute. They started tracking the money and saw that, yeah, does seem to be a bunch of money that went into these programs and just disappeared, and they never got reports back on it. So they started questioning, bringing people in from the Pentagon, and the Pentagon's like, no, no, that's not happening. Like, we have the
They're trying to
documents.
step it up a lot more because at first it was just like Tim Burchett, the guy from Tennessee, and then like a whole bunch of other. It was like maybe 3, 4 other Congress people, and they were like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, this is BS." But now it's like everyone's like, "Where is the money?
Where'd the money go?
What are we
Where'd the
doing?"
money go?
So,
Mm-hmm.
and then David Grush and all these people are like actually speaking out and saying, "Hey, this is where, this is where it went. This is
Yeah.
what we know. This is what we're doing." So it's given us a lot more like clarity on the situation.
There's been a lot of pilots coming out too, as whistleblowers,
A lot
saying
more
that they've been
pilots.
seeing stuff in the skies for a long time, but they weren't allowed to report it.
There's like a Tic Tac video and off
Yeah,
the
they
coast
have
of San Diego
videos.
back in 2017.
You should check those
Thing
out.
looks like a Tic Tac and it just keeps like going like this and like just moving all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, and that's how some of those movements is something that Michael Masters talks about. So if they're online, you can go see them. If you look up like the Tic Tac and what was the other one? Go Fast video. It's
yeah,
called.
the Go Fast video.
So these were Navy pilots off the coast of San Diego that got these on radar, and you can see the way they maneuver. They kind of they can just pop up and they can turn on a dime, and then they can just take off.
And they can
so
also
fast.
do that in water.
Yeah, they can go in and out of water, and there's a lot of footage of that too. Being able to just seamlessly, and then they can travel at really high speeds underwater. And there's footage of that the Navy has.
Like it's not even water. Like they're traveling through the water like it's air.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
But faster than a plane would go through air.
yeah, some creepy.
Dang.
Yeah,
Wow.
very creepy. That's why Michael Masters also has that other paper about cryptoterrestrials, meaning that perhaps aliens. Another theory is that, and I think he thinks like there's the Greys and they're time travelers, but there could be another species, I guess, which is living in the oceans. And it's not just him. There's a lot of other researchers that think that too, and that because we haven't explored the oceans, so we don't know what the hell's down there. Okay. So, but yeah, if you watch those videos and the way they move also fits into the theory of how a time travel machine might work because of the movement. So if you have a craft that's inside of its own time bubble, time in that bubble is moving differently than time outside the bubble. So the idea is that time's moving a lot faster inside and time's moving much slower outside. So if you were in the craft, in the time bending bubble, looking out, everyone would look like they were moving really, really slow in comparison. But if you're outside it looking in, the craft will look like it's moving really, really fast, and so fast that your eyes wouldn't even be able to process a lot of the movement. So it might look like it's just jumping around to you, which is how these look. They look like they're just here, and then they're there, and then they're there, and then they're gone, and then they're in the water, and then they're there. And like we can't seem to track it. And they also seem to have, and a lot of the radar on them, they seem to have some type of like bubble around it. It literally looks like there's a bubble or something around it that's like
It's like a
like a
bubble and then
haze
there's like
or-
a square in it, or like it'll be a bubble and then there's some kind of like, it's almost like it's wrapped in a bubble.
it's really weird.
It's very
Yeah.
odd. Very odd.
And it makes it difficult to photograph, but it picks up on radar much better. So that's what he's looking at, that stuff fits in with the proposed theories of how time travel or time travel machine would work. Okay.
We have been doing this for a little bit, so I feel like we're info dumping all over you, but
That's literally
I mean, I'm listening.
just info dump on it.
gotta hydrate. Gotta hide your.
Okay.
Did you
Now,
get your ear pierced too?
I did, dude.
I got my nose
You're
pierced.
like,
I got a little dangly one.
look at that. Wow. It looks
I
like the
know.
snake's gonna eat it.
Maybe it does.
So yeah, one of the biggest critiques of his theory is the grandfather paradox is a big one, which yes,
Right.
based on the assumption though that the body creates consciousness, that's a problem. If the body doesn't create consciousness, that problem weakens. The other issue that people have with his theory is that it's based off of anecdotes of abductees. The general population does not believe in abductions and doesn't believe in aliens, so this is a hard theory for a lot of people to grasp.
And sometimes people don't realize that it was an abduction until maybe they do a hypnotherapy or some kind of like regression.
Hypnosis. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
so, and that's also controversial as well. People don't
Yeah.
necessarily believe in that, or they think they're making stuff up.
well, because okay, so fun fact, I actually just got certified in hypnosis, so I can do regressions. But the issue with those types of like abductee regressions is that hypnosis, while you can go back and access memories, you can also activate your creative thinking at the same time. And so now, if someone is creative, they're an artist, and they know the difference between when they're in a creative mode versus in a remembering mode, that might be easier for them to discern. But most people would probably like struggle to know the difference between when they are creating a story versus remembering something. And memory is pretty not reliable anyway. So that's a really big flaw with where he's getting the information from, is that we can't verify some of the accounts, though some of them are really there's a lot of evidence, but he's looking at the sheer amount of cases, that there's way more cases than it seems on the surface when you first start looking at the stuff. So that part's kind of interesting.
Anything else?
Also anthropocentric assumption. So there's an assumption that evolution continues in a linear human-centric way.
So we would just keep evolving as humans?
Well, no. So his theory is that based off of the ways we've already evolved up until now, and if things continue the way they have been, it could lead us there. Sure, that makes sense. However, it is assuming that something else doesn't intervene and move it off track, or that there's another way that evolution occurs. So there's certain assumptions that are happening in this theory. For this theory to work, you have to make some assumptions, which is true. So it's like, and then yeah, the physics of time travel is still an issue because we don't have evidence that it's possible. We have some theoretical like equations, but we don't have like, which is why I mean this is a theory. It's a proposed theory, but it's an interesting theory.
Can we do something real quick?
What?
Can you share?
Oh, we're gonna, I was hoping we were going to hypnotize Rob.
No.
We could. I have.
We could. She has.
It's not nearly as fascinating as it sounds.
Yeah,
it's more
not,
like therapy.
It's not that cool. It's more
Yeah,
like
it's
trying.
like-
I'd love to ask you some questions though, Rob.
Yeah. Under.
Yeah. Under. Only under.
Only under.
Maybe we'll do that on another one.
Yeah. Well, that'll be off the books.
I was gonna say if we could share the screen and then tell ChatGPT based off Mike Masters' extratemporal model, can you please show a progression of human evolution to get to a gray?
Oh. Is that something we'd like to see?
Aaron,
I mean, only thing I got on my agenda tonight is to watch WWE after this. So I'm pretty I'm pretty clear. So
Really root yourself in reality
So
there.
do you think WWE is real too?
no, dude, it's not real. But that's the great part of it, man.
Keep
We
going.
will do the thing you suggested, but we still want to go through. There's a few other points that I missed about. So there's the hybridization narrative, which is, that's a lot to go into. But talking about just in general that if we believe the abductees and what they're talking about, with their experiences and having like sperm and eggs taken from them for purposes of they don't really know what, then again, he's saying, well, again, as an anthropologist, if I could go back in time and study people, like we would do that, and we would want to bring them into a lab, and we probably would do similar things, extracting DNA, looking at certain things to see how it evolved, to see like what's going on.
And I mean, with this, I'm thinking like hybrids, it's kind of weird, but there have been
Like, oh, I'm talking about like hybrid people.
like alien human hybrids.
Okay.
That's another theory, that's maybe what they're doing.
That's another theory, but
Yeah. Well, based off the idea that they were not able to reproduce anymore, which there are a lot of scientists that do worry that humans are on track to, I think we have been slowly losing our ability to reproduce, that there have been declines in reproductive health. So
Yeah.
that
All
is,
the Mountain Dew we've been drinking.
yeah, I'm like, maybe it's all that shit in her food, but but in general, but like that, I mean, that's really high here in the United States, but I think all countries are seeing a decline.
it has the
So
plants breathe.
it is something that does need to be considered, that we are currently on some kind of track where that could happen to us.
It's possible.
So it's not the craziest thing to think that a future human, yeah, they did lose that ability and they might need to come back, and they're looking for DNA so that they can
But
keep
the
reproducing.
wildest accounts that I've heard of, what did we talk about this yesterday?
Oh,
Where
you're jumping around, man.
am I jumping?
Yes.
Talking about the lesbian couple?
No, we're not there yet. I wasn't gonna get into that actually.
Get a little shot collar on him. Keep
I
him in
know.
mind.
So this is why the editing's a nightmare. 'Cause I gotta, like,
Ah.
jump around. Okay.
I'll yawn too.
Okay. The thing I wanted to talk about is nuclear sites.
Okay.
There is a disturbingly high amount of reports of UFOs showing up at nuclear bases all over the world. Many, many countries have reported this. A lot of people think it's just the United States. Like people in the US think, oh yeah, how come
just
UFOs
us.
only show up in the United States? It's not. All over the world. A really famous one was the Rendlesham Forest in England. There was US soldiers were there. Obviously they were British too. And they were all kind of like fighting over jurisdiction about, because it like landed partially on an American base, but also partially not. It was weird. It was like on the perimeters of an American base. So like the Americans wanted to deal with it, but then the British were like, no, we're dealing with it. And there was like a big squabble about it, and then a big cover up, but a UFO landed.
Everyone's like running. Over
Yeah. And I don't really know exactly what happened to like any of the local police or whoever in England, but I know the American soldiers suffered like side effects of having been around it. They had radiation poisoning, and they suffered like really like long-term health effects that made them disabled. But then when they tried to get disability upon returning to the United States, they were not allowed access to their medical records. And it was McCain, I think, was the one who pushed this and brought
yeah,
this to
John
Congress.
McCain,
John
yeah.
McCain brought it because he was like all about veterans. So he pushed it and kept bringing it to Congress. And finally, Congress took a look at it, and they're like, okay, yeah, like why can't these guys have access to their medical records? And then the government said, because they're classified. They classified their medical records because of the crash. And so these guys eventually were like, yeah, because there was a UFO, but like we got sick because of it, and we're being denied coverage for our health issues because we can't prove that anything actually happened because you classified our medical records on the reports. So it like that went like all the way to Congress, and they finally declassified it. And so now the information is out there, and all the reports about the crash and their medical records and their associated health issues with having, they got really close to it, and they had like radiation burns, and they're all like messed up from it. Yeah, so that was all released, and they testified to Congress about that too. But that's part of it too, that if it's a time travel machine, that you would expect there to be radiation because of the energy. So people having radiation burns when having seen or encountered a UFO is a really high report. And then them being sick and having associated, like having thyroid issues is a big thing because I guess thyroid's really sensitive to radiation because of the
There's
iodine.
tons of cases that are like that. I mean, there's one in Brazil, the Varginha case,
Yeah, that one's wild.
where the guy,
I don't think he's ready
there-
for it. Yeah.
yeah, he's not ready. Long story short, the officer picked up the alien and then died
No,
later.
I just said he's not ready
not
for
ready?
that. He's
Okay.
not ready for that one. Okay, so
It's a
now
great story, though.
there is a ton of reports from various nuclear sites where UFOs show up and they start messing with the nukes. They can turn them on and off. And people will freak out. There was something in Russia that it was happening so much around the 1940s, like just after the 1940s, between U.S. nuclear sites and Russian sites that the countries were forced to talk about it because they were so worried that one of these UFOs was going to launch one or like switch something that it would make it seem as though the other country was about to attack, that they had to talk about it and admit to each other that this was happening. So they had like I don't know, it was stories that there was like a phone line.
They were like, "Was that you?" No, okay.
So that way they would call each other and be like, it's a UFO. It's not us. We're not trying to send a nuke after you. Because they were just worried about the mutual annihilation. If one country set off a nuke, the other country would. So there's a ton of reports, but in most cases, they are turning nukes off. And then they started testing it. This was the Navy, I believe. They think the Air Force, but the Air Force is like doesn't like to release anything. But the Navy has released a lot. Anytime they moved warheads around, they would get trailed by UFOs. UFOs would follow them. So if they were transporting them to different sites, or if they were practicing maneuvers that might have involved anything having to do with a nuke, again, they would show up. And they started testing it. So they would stage, like, they would fake basically like getting into position as if they were going to launch something or as if they were going to have some kind of attack to see if they would show up, and they would show up. And there's like a lot of document cases. So what Masters is saying is that, again, if we're looking at if these are future humans, they have a vested interest in us in their past.
Which is they don't want mutually assured destruction. Okay.
So they're worried about, and it's possible too, there's another idea too that it's possible maybe they did accidentally alter our timeline because of the Roswell crash. They think that it's possible because the Roswell crash happened and then I think we got new advanced technology, like something happened around the same time, and they're wondering if it's possible that they figured out how to make a nuclear bomb because of that crash. So if it was a future human that came back, messed up, crashed, and something about the technology gave humans the ability to do something that they normally wouldn't have done, then it would have been the future humans' fault that we developed nuclear bombs. And so maybe now they're like, shit,
Dang.
now we got to prevent them from blowing each other up because that could destroy future environments.
Some intern messed up bad. Just
Go back to the Jimmy Bob thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's like
Right.
your distant relative there, Rob.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Looks just like you, just gray.
Great, or your,
It's
what is
like-
it?
Has a beard.
Yeah, great grandnephew.
Or don't you mean gray?
Oh.
I almost spat my water out.
That was funny.
Great, that's funny.
Idiocracy too, right there.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Hope you're
Okay,
enjoying this, by the way.
Like I said, I'm absorbing. I'm here to listen.
Is that a Bass Pro Shop hat behind you?
Yeah, it is, man.
wow.
Wow.
Then that's my Harris Walls hat that I had. I never wore it out in public. I got too nervous.
Now it's gonna be on YouTube.
That and the Browns hat, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, you know how dudes can be, like alpha dudes. Like, I'm not gonna be able to protect myself. And they're like, "What's up with that?" I'd be like, "It's nothing. It's nothing, man. It's just a hat.
It's just a hat, that's it.
I'm just hunting, man."
Okay, so the next thing is consistency of descriptions over time. This is when I'd say I started getting real, it messed me up a little bit when I first started looking into this stuff, was the amount of historical depictions of UFOs going really far back. really, really, really far back. So there are really consistent depictions of the like gray beings and like the saucer, like pretty, like the classic lore that we hear going back into like biblical, like ancient times, but not just like there's depictions in the Bible, yeah, but like other ancient historical texts. And then like the Vatican has a ton of records about sightings and depictions of really similar abduction cases that sound like current abduction cases. So there's an author, she's a professor in North Carolina.
North Carolina. I think Wake Forest.
No,
No. Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill, I think. Yeah, I think she's in Charlotte.
UNC.
Do you want to say? No, not Chapel Hill. Anyway, she's a professor. She's a
Carolina.
religious studies professor, Diana Pasalka. And she has been, I mean, she's a religious studies professor, so she gets special access to go to the Vatican. Like, not very many people get that. But because
You're jumping a little
of
bit.
her stat, no. She was looking into old stories from like Catholic archives. And she one day was talking to a friend who she was explaining like this one case she had specifically, and she was looking at I think it was a nun or a priest or something that had weird abilities, like he could levitate. And there was another case about a nun who had a strange interaction with an angel that stabbed her and took something, extracted something from her body and like took off in like a craft. And so the Catholic Church did something called redaction, which is where if they had a report to them, because especially at that time, I don't know for what year, like going way back, probably like 1500s, people would go to the church to report things. They reported to the Catholic Church. They go to their local priest and report everything, and they would document everything, and then eventually everything went back to the Vatican. So there was this depiction, and the Catholic Church would change the story to make it sound more like religious and holy. So where the actual original depiction, this woman's like, yeah, this thing came down from the sky and it took me out of my house and it stabbed me and it was terrible and painful. And then I had this wound at like the description of it versus what the official document that the Catholic Church put out after the fact, two very different things. So like, oh, an angel gracefully came down from the sky and kissed her on the cheek. Like, you know, like they edit it and they redact it to soften it so that way they can talk about it as if it was a religious event, an angelic interaction versus what really happened. And so she had found all these cases where that redaction had happened. She was presenting it to a friend, and the friend was like, hey, can you read that one again? And like had her read it again, and then brought up like a abduction case. It was like, that sounds just like a modern UFO abduction case. And at first she was like, no, like that's crazy. No. And then he's like, look at it. So she started comparing modern cases to these old cases. And she started going to like MUFON meetings, which is like it's an organization where people report sightings and abductions. And she started talking to people and she realized, oh my God, these are actually really, really similar. And she collected tons of these old stories and paired them with new stories, then found like other, like there's old paintings and so many like official documents in the Vatican that describe things that sound just like this. So Masters talks about this too, that he looked at her work and went into a deep dive into all of her files that she references and noticed the same thing. Like, okay, if this was again time traveling future humans, they would have come back to visit us now, but they would have kept going back and back and back and back and back and back, and they would have extracted humans from multiple times. And he's saying the evidence is potentially there that supports that is what they've been doing.
And they're just doing this out of anthropological reasons.
A combination. He thinks at minimum, yeah, because we go and dig up like ancient like religious sites, and we were full on grave robbers to go dig up old bones just to try to figure this stuff out. Like, I don't doubt for a second
And
that
I mean,
we wouldn't.
if we wouldn't, like someone else would. You know what I mean? Like
Someone would.
Someone
yeah,
would.
someone if we had the ability
if we're like no,
time
we're
travel.
good. Yeah.
I'm just like personally, like if I personally had the ability to go back in time and see what happened at different historical events for myself and understand what humans were like, I would.
And what would Rob do with his first trip back to the time machine?
I don't know.
I'd probably go see the
I want
dinosaurs
to see the
actually, but
dinosaurs.
yeah. And then probably come back immediately when I find out they do in fact have feathers and they're just giant horrific birds.
That is the weirdest thing right there.
That'd mess me up. But I'd have to know. I'd have to know.
That seems terrible. I would be terrified to be.
I wouldn't get out, but
Yeah, I think
from the
that's something
sky,
that
be like,
scares
oh
me. Yeah.
shit, they're right.
I want to see
Okay.
these mammoths that they cloned though.
Yeah, I don't want to go back and see all that stuff for sure.
You want to see the man, like the mammoths in their like true form?
Yeah.
Yeah. hell
Well,
yeah.
they cloned them. I don't know if they're
Yeah, they
still
did.
alive.
I don't know if they actually like.
They said they cloned them.
I don't know if they were like alive though.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
I heard about it, and they said we brought them, and then that's it. And I was like, okay,
Yeah, that's actually. We should follow up on that.
Yeah.
Not right now,
not right this second.
but at some point. Okay.
Maybe that's the next one.
Okay. So I think that caught us up. Okay, yeah, then there's just how UFOs seem to travel like time devices. All right, do you have any questions at this point?
How much more we got?
Yeah, we don't have, I only have 10% battery, so we'll have to keep on. Well, that's on the cameras when we're still recording here. But we should try to wrap this up kind of
We've
soon.
had them for an hour.
Okay,
Poor thing.
I know.
I said I'm just listening.
Okay, this is Einstein's general relativity permits time travel. General relativity allows for closed time-like curves, which are passed through warped space-time that could theoretically enable time travel. Concepts like wormholes, warp drives, and rotating black holes provide plausible methods of time travel under extreme energy conditions. Okay. And then time distortion, missing time, there's lots of cases like that. Um, mm, mm, mm. And that UFOs lack interstellar travel evidence. Yeah, we don't have any evidence to suggest that they came from other parts of the like universe or galaxy. And this is his biggest thing is he's saying that if they were extraterrestrial, the odds of them looking as human as they do should be really low. What he specifically talks about is he's like, okay, look at all of the beings on Earth. How many of them walk on two legs, are upright and walk on two legs?
Oh, I don't know. Is that a question towards me, or is that a hypothetical question?
No, I guess a question towards you. Is think about how many living creatures on Earth walk on two legs, are upright.
Yeah, just us and our cousins, us bipeds.
I mean, we
Right.
get ducks though,
Ooh, there we go.
Okay.
and emus.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
They
Keep
are
keep going.
winged creatures, but yes,
They are winged creatures, but they
more like
stand upright.
dinosaurs. I don't know if those are
Do they need to have four
considered-
arms to be considered upright? Because technically,
Well, like thumbs and
oh, okay.
are ducks considered bipedal? I don't know that they are.
Oh,
Yeah, they have two legs, but they also have two wings.
they're biped. All birds are bipeds. Okay.
Okay.
I like the idea of this human duck hybrid that rules over.
New theory. Rolling it out now.
New theory: we're half quail, half human.
There we go.
That's funny. What animals are fully bipedal?
But
Humans,
we
birds,
get
many
your
lizards.
point, though. We get your point. How many? Not a ton.
Okay, so but that's his point is like if you think about it, they're very human-like.
Right.
Even though we think of them, oh, they look so alien, they look so weird. Okay, but if you compare them to all the other creatures on Earth, they look like humans.
Well, they seem
They
to have a
don't
neck,
look like lizards. They don't look like
shoulders,
birds. They don't look like elephants. They don't look like
whales.
fish,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah. So
Well,
it
you
is a
would-
little weird. So he's saying that the odds that an extraterrestrial would look like us is more far-fetched.
I mean, if it looks nothing like anything in the ocean, then how could it be in the ocean?
He's not saying it's from the ocean.
I know, but
This is just it.
I'm just saying though. This is
Was that worth saying?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
talking.
exactly.
He's bringing up the blues.
That's what
Should
I'm
we talk?
saying. Like we're like terrestrial beings.
Uh-huh.
So if they look like us, wouldn't they be terrestrial and not like ocean based?
Who's saying they're ocean based?
You brought it up a
No,
couple
that's
times.
cryptoterrestrials. It's a different theory.
Sorry.
It's a different theory. And that theory doesn't even say, it says that they might be hiding from us in the ocean, not that they're from the oceans.
Oh,
Oh,
I thought they were hiding Bitcoin in the ocean. That's where I got thrown off.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
It's a, it's a theory.
Probably. All right. So what was the question? Let's do the.
Okay, so I wanted, can you please create an evolutionary diagram showing the progression? Okay, you're just typing your own thing. That's fine. No big, no big deal. I do that toxic text now. It's pretty awesome.
Did you talk to text on your
Oh,
phone or?
What was the thing?
I wanted a human evolution diagram between humans and grays, showing the evolution.
Is that a diagram?
Like a progression, like a, what is that called? Anamorph style.
Dude, yes. In the style of an Animorph cover.
Do it.
You should upload a picture of you, Rob, and do an Animorph style cover from Duck to Rob. See what that looks like.
I'll be honest, I started those books and I didn't finish all of them. I just thought the cover
Dude,
was cool.
Let's see.
that's exactly how I felt. I don't think I ever read one.
It's like, oh my God, he turned into a duck this one. Wow, like
We know the whole plot from the cover. We don't need
yeah,
to read it.
I know. So there's a lot of people creating images right now.
Yeah, it's just gonna take like a
So this
minute or
might
two.
take a bit.
So how do you feel now about the extratemporal model and I guess plausibility? How much of this are you surprised to learn about?
I think so. I I definitely fall into that camp of people who are the stories are anecdotal, and that's something that I will always be a hang up for me. Um, because like you said, memory is a really hard thing to depend on, and because of that, um, how much can we depend on it? Um, the grandfather paradox does kind of get me as well. Just because it's like such a high risk, high reward situation. Like, because if you grab a human from the 1950s, you probably don't need to grab another human for another few hundred years potential. Like, we're not going to evolve that much. Um,
Depends on how many experience you got going.
The only
That's
thing I'll
the
say there's a lot of the anecdotes, a lot of the abduction stories. A lot of the abductees are shown images about humans damaging the environment with pollution, and a lot of that pollution kicked up after probably like 1940s. Like we had the Industrial Revolution, which started a lot of stuff, but then a lot of the dumping of like toxic chemicals, the use of plastics, a lot of that was a lot more recent. So a lot of people have said that they think the abductions, they're worried about the state, like toxins, and the overall environment. So that's the only thing. So
like
that there might be,
microplastics.
yeah, exactly. So like the difference between a human from the 1950s to now, there might be enough significant changes in how much toxins we've ingested and how that's affecting. Oh, that camera's
Yeah,
off.
that's true. That's very
Yeah,
true.
yeah. So that's a point that is said in terms of that. But generally, though, yeah, I think there you probably would see big gaps, or they maybe wouldn't have to go visit because they already saw someone similar.
it's possible.
But yeah, I think that the biggest thing for me is, um, I mean, I was a psychology major in college. Didn't do much past that, but it is a science. So I think for me, I it helps to see evidence of something that's not an anecdotal story. And I think there are weird, I will say there are things that definitely make me think. Like I think we all have friends who have kids or nieces or nephews who say some really odd stuff. Like I had my friend's son, when he was like 3, had this thing he called hymns, and this is not like the product hymns. No, this is what he called. This is
Do we have to click a link right now? What's going on?
That feels like it. That'd be advertised
so
too. There's gonna be
um
bad on this one.
like in his mind he just called this whatever it was hymns, and it would sound like it was imaginary friend, but he doodled a picture of like kind of like a long shadowy type figure, and he told his friend like, or he told my friend, his dad, like, oh yeah, this is hymns. He wasn't scared of him. And my friend is like a pretty level-headed dude. Like out of he's someone who definitely like he needs cold hard facts. But I remember his son once said like he was talking about hymns, and his dad was like, "Oh, do you see him right now?" And he's like, "Yeah, he's over there in the corner." And my friend looked, and there was nothing in the corner, and he was just like, he's like, the way I had to hide my how terrified I was from my son, so as not to scare him because there was nothing there.
Oh no.
So stuff like that definitely. Is it a kid's imagination running wild? Is there something more? I don't know, but for that reason, I will always listen to things. Like I always am open to hearing things.
And we
I
think
like
that's
that.
one of the best ways to go about
Yeah.
this, because there's so many stories and there's so many like agendas and stuff, and like sometimes people are just saying some pretty weird
Yeah,
stuff.
it's not easy to trust people at all.
So just
The only thing like I get stuck on when it comes to how, because like I agree about anecdotes that it's really difficult, but then how often have we also sent people to prison off of similar anecdotes? So when it comes to like
Oh
an
yeah, for
eyewitness
sure.
testimony, we think that's valid when someone's sharing a story that's about something we've personally experienced, so we believe it more to the point that we'll convict. And we do that every day. So that's where I start getting stuck about like, okay, where are our thresholds? And then is it just based off personal experience? And then, okay, like, but now there are other people that are like, well, I've had that experience too, so I do believe them. And that's when it starts getting messy for me. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just be open and I'm gonna hear everyone out and
Yeah, definitely.
kind
I
of
think
hold.
especially
Yeah.
YouTube done so much research as well. I think that's why I'm, like I said, here to just absorb and listen because you've obviously both passionate about this subject and want to share it. So the
yeah.
least I can do is just, what'd you say?
I said no way.
But I think there's always like a nugget of something here or there to pull from that, you know?
Yeah.
Critically analyzing things is something you have to do in every different direction, no matter how you might feel about it going into it. So, yeah, like I said, I mean, my father is a Trumper, so
Mm,
in order to, sometimes I, and for the sake of our, relationship, I just gotta listen, you know? And I
hmm.
think that patience has definitely spread to other parts of my life, and yeah.
That's a good point.
It's
I
good.
say that on here too. That's like why, like, could you believe it now? It's not about like having to believe it, but understanding like, yeah, it's difficult to believe stuff. So talking about it as a like a threshold of belief rather than, oh, I believe it or I don't believe it, putting the
Yeah.
nuance in there. Like you can be at varying levels. You can be like, oh, well, I believe this aspect, but I don't believe that aspect, or I feel okay about this part, and understanding that that's like we're complex like that. We're not binary. We're not like this or that. Things don't have to be
Mhm.
that way. And
Dude,
belief shifts.
yeah, it really
Yeah.
does. I mean, like us 2 years ago to now, or like even like 2 weeks ago. I'm
I
like,
mean, where I stood in this theory, like I think like Michael P. Masters is a very interesting person, and I've been very interested in his work, but I was kind of like, I don't
yeah,
really,
I'm like,
and like I
whatever.
am into this stuff, and there's like as far as believability, there's a lot of other stuff that maybe compare in comparison is a lot
It
crazier than I
looks like he just
believe.
hit a bong and he's like, yeah, aliens are real. Yeah, this is us from the future. We just hopped
Yeah.
in and just came back.
But
I'm
like
like,
it was still like after this information, I wasn't believing his stuff. It wasn't until seeing the research that Diane Hennessy Powell had that I was like, oh,
and she's like
now I
very,
can believe it more
yeah,
as one theory. Like I feel like after I needed the combination of
We
those
also
two.
saw it live too. We went to Contact in the Desert, the UFO conference we go to, and she was there with
Dr. Diane Hennessy.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah. She was there with someone from the telepathy tapes, one of the savants.
Yeah, they did a live telepathy
Oh, interesting.
And the
demonstration.
savant's mother did a demonstration where she was blindfolded, like completely. She had like four different, like she had like tape and then a blindfold, then another blindfold. She had like 6 blindfolds, and they were just trying to like.
You gotta explain. It's called mind sight. It's another thing that the kids are able to do, but they've taught. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've heard of remote viewing.
Whatever. Let's just tell them.
Yeah,
let's-
yeah.
That's a
let's just
big
tell 'em
rabbit
about
hole.
this. So pretty much like they're saying that these savant kids can do this, but anyone has this ability. So she's like blinded, and the guy who's like the host or whatever, the speaker, he has like all these like poster boards with different colors in the crowd, and he's like, all right, which one do I have? And it's like orange, and she's like orange, and so he like keeps like changing the color, and she like keeps getting it. He's like shuffling them around.
No. They're picking out random audience members and having them present stuff to her. Like people are pulling stuff out of their pockets and she's saying what it is, that she can see it. Someone brought out a random book, opened it up to a random page, picked a line, and she was reading along, and she's blindfolded, but she says she can see it with mind sight. That's what this is called, and it's based off the concept of remote viewing, which is something that the CIA has been using for
Genuine interest in.
decades. Yeah, but it's
Interesting.
down a different rabbit hole. But it was getting into a lot of the brain stuff that Dr. Diane Hennessy was researching. But yeah, anyways, my point was, it was until her work helped me feel more strongly about the extratemporal model. Prior to that, I did not,
It's so hard to like explain
because there's a lot.
because there's just like so
We've
much
been exposed
stuff.
to a lot of information.
And like we just watch
Yeah.
YouTube like all day.
Okay. Well, where was your belief before this? Like before learning about Michael Masters, and if I was like, okay, Greys might be future humans coming back in time.
I'd be like, that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. I was like, that's stupid.
Did you think it could be plausible?
The thing is, like, I gotta see it. I tell her this all the time, like, I gotta see it. But how do you see a future human?
I mean, they can come
evolve?
visit you.
Yeah. But like you
wanna visit?
like you were saying, like, does it eat? Does it drink water? Like we
I have
haven't
heard one thing about that, and it's kind of nasty.
no, he's not ready for that. He's not ready.
I don't know if it's true.
What is it?
I
Uh-oh.
heard a theory that they don't like poop, but instead they excrete through like glands in their skin, their waste, like they excrete it.
We do
Because a
that.
lot of people said that they
Dang.
smell. There's a lot of sightings where it's been accompanied by an awful smell, and
like
that's the
ammonia,
theory.
rotten egg smell.
Yeah.
You had a moment where you've seen what you believe to be a UFO that you feel comfortable sharing, I guess.
Man. Well, ChatGPT is still processing this image, so I
Yeah, I
guess
guess
we
we
can
have time.
talk.
Our cameras died anyway, so.
What do you?
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, even the other day.
Yeah, so just I would say just explain in full, just like kind of just
All right.
pre-associate and just
Well, we've seen. I mean, even the other day, we took her mom to Zion, and we were out there like really late at night, and we saw this like it looked like a firework, like lavender, or you know how lavender looks, kind of like the flower.
yeah.
Let's grab this. I don't know, but it looked like a firework, but it was upside down.
No sound.
It was
Really
like
bright.
shooting from the top of the sky down, but
But it went behind the mountain.
but it went behind the mountain.
Like
That
it.
could have been like a comet or not comet, like a chunk of stuff entering the environment.
Possibly the only thing I've seen that a lot. I've seen meteors, like meteor showers, and as a kid, like we used to wake up a lot and like go out, like wake up at night and like go find meteor showers. So I've seen a lot of that stuff, and I've seen when something debris hits the atmosphere and like how it looks when it breaks
Yeah.
up. So it's like maybe, but it was
So
really
it didn't look like the debris.
well, no, because it didn't usually you would see like there'd be streaks and it would break apart and you'd see the streaks and it would keep falling. This went I don't even know. It was really weird. I thought it was a flare because it felt close. I thought maybe there was a camper that set off a flare, but then it didn't move like that. So if it was some kind of flare, it's not one that I'm familiar with because it looked like it um dropped down like behind it, like went like this.
I
So
see what you're saying.
it had a swooping motion and it went behind the mountain. So it felt like it was happening like locally in the sky, not up in the upper atmosphere or like outside the atmosphere. So very different from a shooting star, very different from a satellite, very different from a meteor that would enter. It felt like it was more present, close to the sky. So I was like, I don't know, like maybe someone had something that they like put it in the air, but it
Yeah.
also, but then it just like disappears. I'm like, I don't know. It was pretty weird though. Yeah.
You ready yet?
I know. I think I'm gonna give up on ChatGPT.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you had to queue up in ChatGPT. I thought I'd just spit it out.
Um,
I think we're
it's
using all
taking
the
a really
data
long
centers
time.
Mm.
right now.
Could be.
Dang. You farming crypto too over there? That'd be kind of dope.
And the
That'd be
ocean.
kind of sick.
That's what the Greys are for. They're doing that for us.
So
That's
we'll
dope.
we'll send you this when it comes out, I
Yeah, if we can get
guess.
this to make
I was
something.
hoping we get a little reaction video, but
I don't know if still making it.
guess not.
Okay, I think we got it
This is some
somewhere.
good footage.
Yeah. Have you ever seen anything weird in the sky? Or
I've
ghosts?
always grown up in the suburbs, so I've never really been out.
Mm,
There's always been light pollution, so
Mm,
ghosts, I can't. I mean, sometimes I feel like I've gotten that feeling of like, oh, I'm not alone right now, but
mm.
that could just be anxiety. Like I'm not sure what that could be.
could be.
Yeah.
Um, my dad said that when his grandfather died, he lived in a big house up in Northeast Ohio, and you could hear the piano being played in the basement. They had like a basement bar.
Oh,
Um, but that's all I've heard. I mean, Daryl's kind of wild. My great grandmother died in a bed, and my dad, I mean, the sheets were clean, but he would stay in that room when he would visit because his mom lived there.
Got it. Okay.
Which I thought was fucking, like I would never do. She died in that bed. I'm never staying in that bed.
So do you
But he
believe in
had,
ghosts?
I do, gosh, I don't know. I
so
feel
if
like
you
there's,
don't, you would though.
Wait,
Like,
let me answer the question.
okay, all right, keep going, keep going.
right, like I think, I sometimes do think there is this battle between good and evil happening.
Mm,
But that could also just be like a thematic mind, like me applying meaning to life. So
yeah,
I'm not sure. I guess that's my answer for most things, is I'm not really sure nowadays of anything.
I like that.
I feel like if I was in that situation where I'd have to sleep in that bed.
Dude, okay, so real quick, there were like 7 rooms in this house. They were options. We
We
could
could
have
have slept
done
anywhere
we
else.
could have done anything. There was a
Okay, yeah, I
couch
would have gone
downstairs.
anywhere else. Yeah, yeah,
I slept on the couch downstairs, like,
yeah.
and I was still terrified to do that. I was probably like 12 or 13, and my dad, well, like he didn't want to sleep on the couch. And it was like a good size, like sectional. And I was scared to sleep down there alone. I literally did that thing where you like turn your back and you're like, well, if I can't see the monster, it can't see me. So I'm gonna survive the
Like the
night.
quail,
Classic,
the
yeah.
quail we saw the other day.
It is like the
This
quail.
quail was running from us, and then it stopped and like stuck its head in the bush, and it
Classic
thought it was
quail
like,
energy.
"There we go, you're safe. Can't see us, we can't see you." It was really funny.
Cats do that constantly too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like I'm good now.
we got the image.
Oh yeah, let me share the screen real quick.
Are you gonna do the Rob Zarella Animorph one later though?
I was, I was really hoping that this would be a little bit more extensive.
Oops.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. To get like
I was asking for that in between on the human and the alien,
the
not the.
missing, yeah, the missing link. Because I think a
Um,
follow-up question I'd have is like, why is the skin gray? Is it because they don't need vitamin D anymore. Like,
Good point. Good point.
Mm.
um, we did talk about the genitalia as well. Like, did that just fall off after a while after non-use?
I don't think we know if they have genitalia.
But
That's
Non-use.
just you. That's just you.
well,
I'm just kidding.
well, because I think about the gray alien imagery throughout pop culture, and it's
Uh-huh.
always this very like non-gendered, neutral gray figure.
Yeah.
It
Always.
doesn't really ever have like a chest. Its chest is flat. You don't really see anything outside of that. So like, how does it get to that point? You know, like what would be the survive? Like what would the evolutionary traits be that would help that organism survive better? Because we can't even imagine what like thousands, millions of years from now, like what the living conditions would be like.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
think that's a really interesting thing for me to think about. Is like how do we get
Based
to
off
that?
of models they've predicted with the environment, they think it's possible that humans could get forced underground,
I mean, the way we're going now.
you know. Which a lot of that, if that was the case, I mean, it's just again a guess, like we don't really know, but if that was the case, then yeah, you would probably see gray skin if you're not in the sun anymore. And you would see bigger pupils, bigger eyes to allow, because if you're in a darker environment, now you're going to need more light coming in.
Yeah.
Um, and the food source would be very limited at that point too.
For the no muscle thing, I would think like if you could move things with your mind, you wouldn't
Sure, if
really
you
need
became more telepathic and didn't
psychokinetic.
need, yeah, it was psychokinesis.
Psychokinetic.
Well, to
But
also to pull in some Pixar stuff, Wall-E, you see the humans, literally they've all gained a lot of weight. They're just floating around in chairs.
yeah,
Like, what is the incentive for this being super skinny and very thin, you know? Instead of going the other way and being more
well, I think,
gaining more weight.
yeah, this is the idea that they would maybe not have access to the same food sources if they're underground. So having to adapt on way less, but you would have less energy.
Maybe they just use
So,
air, like those breatharian people.
oh my God, I hate that theory. But then, like, science research just came out that shows that we do get nutrients from breathing. Just totally me up.
Dude, send me some Utah air. I
It's
know
so
I know it's better
it's
than
so
the
damn
LA
clear
It
air.
here.
is. Yeah, this is awesome.
We'll
Thank
catch up
you.
soon. We'll have some Chipotle on video or something,
Yeah.
or come.
Actually, I actually would like some Chipotle on video. That sounds quite nice.
Okay.
So good. You got to hear about aliens a little bit more about
Do yeah. Well, I'll get it through the Chipotle that we have here.
Chipotle.
Chipotle pickup.
It's pretty convenient.
That sounds good, dude. All right.
All
You,
right. See
you
ya.
both have a good evening. I will
Yeah.
talk to you when I talk to you.